All right, I'm going to talk about the healing power of nature. Oh, why is it can't move? Right, now, so for this talk, I'm going to address 3 issues. Now, in order to talk about the healing power of nature, I got to explain exactly what healing is all about and why nature have healing powers. Then I'll end up by explaining, or rather illustrating, how do we make the best out of nature. Carol?
Yeah, so 大家好，所以这位是博士不是博士，是Professor Peter Mac。所以今天他所要跟你们分享的是关于那个大自然的治疗能力，就是说我们可以以大自然来怎么以大自然来治疗我们自己，医疗我们自己。对，好。
Okay. Now, before I start, I have to explain exactly what healing is all about. Now, for those from the liver and pancreas support group, I think they have heard me talking about the subject of healing, I think a month ago. So I'm going to repeat a little bit of it in order to give a basic understanding of what healing is like. I will not speak about faith healing. I mean, that's about religion and all that. That's not the subject of my talk today. But I will explain the origin, the etymology of the word healing before I start. Carol?
Yeah, 大致上Prof. Peter Mac 是会跟我们分享的是关于大自然的治疗，他也会把那个宗教这宗教其他东西放在治疗内，只是大自然的治疗。
Right. The word healing actually is derived from the Old English language, the word heilen, which means to become whole and be sound and be well. And it is closely related to the word health, which in Old English meaning wholeness, becoming wholesome, all right, becoming sound and well. Carol?
Wow. This is tough. Okay, so 我们是这个治疗康复是讲关于整体上的治疗，就是说康复的整体，不只单单一部分。
Right. So I have to explain a little bit about this concept of being whole from the philosophical point of view. Basically, it involves, or rather it requires 2 things to be wholesome. 1 is interconnectedness, and 2 is balance. Carol?
刚才所说的就是说是整体上，就是说不是一部分，这是种人的整体，所以分成2组，一组呢是说相互联系，另外一个是关于平衡，每一个人的一个平衡。
So to explain the interconnectedness part, I think basically we become whole when we are together with other people, together with nature, and together with our relationships with other people in our society. Carol? Carol, got problem?
Oh dear, I've spoken. 说整体呢，就是说不是只单单一个人的整体，也包括大自然，也包括人与人之间的关系。
Right. So the point about balance is that we have to balance ourselves in 4 dimensions, not just the physical body, but also our mental, our emotional, and the spiritual. And in the process, we have to balance with our environment. This is what we call ecological balance. And And as a result of the ecological balance, then we are less prone to diseases like COVID. All right.
平衡呢，我们就是说整体上的平衡，不只是身体啊，我们的心灵啊，我们的情绪啊，还有心灵跟ecological， what is ecological? Somebody can help me. Ecological balance 就是说大体上啊，来平衡我们自己的整体的健康。大自然大自然。
Right. I think this one gets too difficult. I think I'll leave this slide.
Good. You have some Chinese word, so it's not too bad.
Not too bad.
Yeah, there's some Chinese word there. Otherwise, like impromptu.
I can go back to it. I can go back to it.
Yeah, I think you have some Chinese word is really good.
Right. Now, when we talk about interconnectedness, there are actually 3 spheres of it, or rather 3 dimensions of it. The first one is really about the togetherness of various organs. And that's where we have this mind-body connection concept in healthcare. Carol?
So, 第一点呢，就是说我们器官，我们里面的器官的那种团结跟平衡。
The second thing about togetherness is social togetherness with other fellow human beings. And when we study medicine, this falls into the area of what we call social medicine and public health, which is part of our curriculum.
第二点呢，就是说社会团结，就是说我们会跟其他的人一起就是说这是属于这个社会医学跟公共卫生的一个领域。
Now, the third dimension of togetherness, unfortunately, falls outside healthcare. It's in the arena of ecological health. It's about togetherness with nature. And this is what we're going to talk about today.
第三点呢，就是也是说关于大自然的，不止内在，就是说器官，刚才我们是说器官。第二呢，就是社会，我们人与人之间。第三呢，就是说大自然的团结，就是以外面跟生态的健康。
Right. Now, I am just showing you a quotation from a lady doctor who, when she was in a medical school, she was horrified at the way that the rainforest in the island of Borneo was being burned and destroyed. And then she founded this Health in Harmony organization. And she's the one who commented about how horrible the pandemic is teaching us. Is destroying us. He said all of our well-being is dependent on the well-being of everyone else and the natural environment. We just forget that it is a fundamental truth, and this horrible pandemic is teaching us that.
这是其中的一个Dr. Kinari Webb 的其中一个用句。他是说他看到那个我们现在所遇到的，就是大自然也说到也是这个关于那个COVID 的整个 pandemic 会影响到，会教到我们什么会影响到我们什么，所以种种的一些问题。
Now, the concept of nature has been changing throughout the ages. When man was primitive, we regard ourselves as part of nature itself. We are part of a greater whole. And a good example is you don't have to go too far away. You can just go to Malaysia and look at the orang asli. They're actually very well connected with nature. All right, they will live in a part of a forest whereby they can plant their food and survive. But when the land is used up, and then they will just shift to another part of the forest, and where they will rebuild their houses, living quarters, and they will replant something else, and they move on, and then they will survive together with nature. Carol?
Yeah, 这是整个大自然的变迁，就是说，就像我们在马来西亚有一族 奥斯维族，就是说他们还有一些在马来西亚一些地方还是居住在一块，所以我们就是说全部都在一块的，住在一块，跟大自然在一起这一组。然后现在呢，就是有一些已经慢慢分开了，就是说为了地需要地我们就变成大自然已经慢慢的离大自然远一些了，而且现在呢，我们就变成越来越需要更加多地来住了，变成一个牺牲品。
Right, and as time goes by, man becomes scientifically orientated. So we see ourselves as separate from nature. So we begin to study nature as an object. All right. So we use science to examine nature and derive our knowledge and theory about nature because we see ourselves as being separate. Carol?
Yeah, 就是说以前呢，我们就是说跟大自然一起住在一块，现在呢，我们变成跟大自然离去了，变成是一个科学，我们想知道大自然的，想知道跟做一些大自然的一些研究了。
And as time moves on, I think we have looked at nature as being something that we can sacrifice because we need more space to live. We need to chop down the trees so that we can make use of the land and all that. So we begin to destroy the forest.
这就是很可惜的，就是说渐渐的，我们就与大自然离越来越远，就变成我们会牺牲了一些大自然的树树林这些，为了就是要有一个地方来住。
Now, let's get back to the relationship between man and nature. Right, there are just three things that I would like to highlight in this talk. Why is there a relationship? I think the first one is about the sounds and rhythm of nature. It's just soothing and calming. And this is where we need this part to balance ourselves in our lives. Carol?
所以我们现在呢是想有3点关于人跟大自然的关系。所以第一点呢 ，Prof 彼得麦就说关于声音跟声响，大自然的声音跟步骤的声响，能不能带给我们一些很平静的一些平衡的一些声音
The second point is that the greenness of the space, all right, will help us to concentrate better and because we are relaxed. Carol?
第2点呢，就是说，我们每一个人都知道，就是说看青色、绿色的地方，会让我们好像就比较能注意一下、注重，而且就能比较轻松的享受着大自然坐在那。
Right. The third point is that because the color and sounds of nature is appealing, I think it encourages physical activity in groups, and that's where we connect with each other.
对，对就是说声响、声音、大自然的声音、步骤、大自然的那种平静跟绿色，就吸引我们就是以一些活动，我们可以在以大自然的一些活动来做一些社区的活动。
Okay, I'm going to talk about the healing power of nature next, and for that I will separate into 4 dimensions of well-being, whereby nature has an impact in our lives.
接下来呢 ，Prof 彼得麦可以跟你们分享4点关于我们的健康，以大自然来康复，让我们康复。
Right. The first dimension is about physical health. Carol?
第1点就是关于我们的physical health， 就关于我们的物理方面的健康。
Right. Simply walking outdoors, taking a walk outdoors is beneficial for very many simple reasons. First of all right, it takes us away from our routine. We got fresh air. All right, the trees and grass will smell very nice. And scientifically, we know that it lowers our blood pressure, our heart rate, and then it keeps us focused at the present moment.
走出去就是大自然的时候，你第一点就是每天你能的话，就走出去大自然的一些地方，你可以有新鲜的空气，你可以闻到自然的树的芬香，这些呢都可以让我们的血压啦，我们的心脏的会比较平衡一些，跟让我们的血压低了一些，所以可以让我们也是在present moment how you say that， 就是说就是现在这个阶段来让我们平静。
The mere presence of sunlight and all that will give us something which is very simple. It's vitamin D, which boosts our mood, calms our nerves, and then it also boosts the calcium absorption, which is very important in our immune system and our fight against cancer.
太阳呢，我们出去的话，对我们身体上都是非常好的。比如说，我们有太阳啊，还有太阳每个人都知道都会有，让我们有维他命 D 来帮忙我们的身体健康康复。
One of the things that scientists have been researching is this chemical called phytoncides, which all plants and trees will emit. This phytoncide is really, okay, it comes from the root word phyto means a plant, cides means extermination. So phytoncide is really a chemical which protects the plants from harmful insects and bacteria. And when we inhale this chemical, it actually boosts our biochemical, our biological health in the same way as aromatherapy will benefit us. And at the same time, it also increases our immune system and lower our cancer risk.
树或者是大自然的一些树跟兰都会发出一些杀菌的一些，就好像我们放那个叫什么 aromatherapy， 都会发出一些杀菌的一些物体，让我们保护我们，就是保护细菌，然后我们呼吸的时候，也让我们的体内的身体呢，就是说比较避免那个癌症的发复。Okay, seems to be a bit difficult. I'm trying my best.
I should have put in some Chinese translation.
Yeah, I'm trying my best. It's like
I've forgotten about it.
As well.
Okay, now there's a mental aspect of well-being as well. The research has shown that when we connect with nature, all right, it lowers our stress hormones, we reduce our muscle tension, we cope better with pain, and we're more attentive and the mind are clearer.
So, 其实大自然也是会影响到我们的精神上的健康，就是说它会把我们荷尔蒙那种压力降低了，而且我们通常的压力会把我们的肌肉很紧绷的时候，但是它也会大概降低我们的那种紧绷的情绪，跟可能也会让我们的痛也没那么痛，应付的比较好一点。这些也让我们的心情也会比较清楚一点，注意力会比较好一点。
The connection with nature also has got an emotional well-being component because it reduces our anger and fear, it lowers our anxiety, improves our mood, and then as a whole, our energy level is much higher.
这大致上呢，也会影响到我们的情绪方面，就是说会降低我们的情绪，有时我们会恐惧，有时我们会很生气，无缘无故的，所以很多东西都就是心理上的那个恐惧啊，跟我们的情绪啊，跟我们的那种力量啊，这些都会影响到。但是 你接触到大自然的话，都会把这些都降低下来。
And of course, there's a social part to it. We have a better sense of community where we interact with people who are connecting with nature together. All right. And as we connect with other people, we connect us with the larger world, and we are able to cope better with the challenges of life.
我们也会无形中跟大自然、跟其他的那个社区的接触到，就是说我们也会增进我们的社交的那种会应付的会对人生的应付会比较好一点啊。
Of course, there's also a spiritual well-being part of it. All right. So when we connect with nature, we have this sense of awe, wonder, a sense of adventure, so that we build up a stronger sense of self, and then we can attune to things larger than ourselves. So we see beyond ourselves. It makes us a kinder person, more generous person, and a more loving person.
我们会大致上要是跟大自然的接触的话，我们心灵上的我们会可能会变成会比较慷慨，对人也对每个人也会比较尊重，也会比较好一些，对每一样都是会比较看得开。
Right. Now, for the third part of the talk, I'm going to talk about how to make the best out of nature. Essentially, it's about nurture, how to nurture the plants. All right, and I'm going to share with you some of my personal experience.
好，现在要跟你们分享的是他自己本身的经验，关于大自然对他自己本身的那种经验。
Yeah, it so happened that I shifted house just before the COVID epidemic broke out, and my present place is much smaller than the one before, but it's got a small garden, which kept me occupied and alive during the 2 months of circuit breaker. Carol.
Sorry, I just missed that. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I just tried to say that I have a small garden in my not a new house in the house I'm living now, a small one, but I'm going to share with the audience how I'm going to build up the garden.
好，我时时刻其实Prof 已经偶尔他会拿一个小花盆给我分享一下关于树跟小花这种东西，所以其实是蛮开心的。所以也是带来我一些，他也跟我分享他一些关于他的一个小花园，他怎么开始种植一些花不止让他很开心，其实他也跟我们同事们分享在 office 的时候，也是觉得一起很快乐很开心。Yeah, Prof can share because I'm saying that in fact you also share with us on and off that it brings joy to me too whenever you share those plants as well.
Right. I think since we are on this slide, I will share with you some of the, these are actually the plants in my own garden. This is Commelinea. It is a flowering plant that flowers every morning, and then it closes down, and then every morning it comes about. It's blue in color. It's pretty nice. This is Chiso, which is related to this coleus, which has got very nice leaves, and at the back this is a melon plant.
其实很多花这些名字我也其实不大清楚。我知道其中一个他讲的就是关于瓜，那时候他分享有一个瓜供是什么瓜来的，但是有一个他也是分享到一个 Morning Glory. I remember you mentioned that as well. It's really so beautiful. Yeah.
Right. Now, I will share with you how I build up my own garden. Of course, the simplest way is that, in Singapore, we are very fortunate. We have a lot of nurseries and all that. The shortest, quickest way is to go to the nursery, buy the plants, and then you transfer them. All right? Like what they did in the beginning to get started.
刚刚开始做一个小花园的时候，最容易的方法就是说去买或者是Prof you buy isn't it you？
For the ones in this picture, I bought them.
都买了一些花，然后就种在它这个小花园，就开始。
Okay, I will introduce to you some of the plants in this picture, which I planted myself. This one is Leosa. It's actually people used to plant it for the New Year, Chinese New Year period.
其实很多花我也不大懂得翻译那个名字，可能 Prof 你可以慢慢一步一步来慢慢讲。It's difficult to translate the Chinese. I think the flower name, I guess.
Right. The next one is salvia. It's red in color. I don't know the Chinese name, but these are all technical names. This is I've forgotten the name. These are very yellow and pink in color, which grows very fast but also dies very fast. All right. This is Torinia, which grows in two colors, blue and red and all that kind of thing. But basically, I'm going to show you that these are the ones that can stand sunlight. So this is why I choose them to plant in the open air plot of land.
Prof 选择这些花呢，其实我不大清楚那个名字，因为它们能承受太阳，的，所以它就在外面种。
Now, of course, the other way, if you really want to nurture plants, you can also plant them from seeds, which is what I did for this 5 examples down here.
也可以用种子买种子来种。
All right. So all these 5 flower, I planted them from seeds. This is coxcomb, which is also pretty common sight during Chinese New Year. 鸡冠花。
在过年的时候，其实也是蛮多人买的，鸡冠花哈。
Yeah, because it looks like the comb of the cock. Yeah. This is Comberlinia. All right, you've seen it just now. It looks a bit like a butterfly or that kind of thing, and it is very easily cultivated and also very nice, and it grows pretty well. And at one stage, I even have about 100 flowers every morning.
Wow. 这个有点像蝴蝶，就是说也是蛮容易种植，所以可以种大概100朵花。那时候要尝试种这个花。
Yeah. Now this is sunflower. I mean, there was a stage where my daughter was telling me that she learned from her friends that we cannot plant sunflower in Singapore. We can only buy the flowers from the nursery and all that kind of thing. So to prove that it is not correct, so I actually get the seeds from my friend and I actually planted it. And this is the sunflower that I grew in my garden.
So Prof 的女儿是说，可能我们太阳花在新加坡太热了，不能种，但是她就试试看种，还是成功了，所以还是可以种的。
Right, and this is morning glory. It is a very beautiful flower which again blooms every morning with brilliant violet and pink color, and it really makes my day when I look at them every morning.
Morning Glory 是怎么叫呢？但是就是太漂亮了，而且也是那时候 Prof 跟我分享，就给我看那个，就在中间的时候，它颜色好漂亮，而且在里面我们可以望到好像一闪白光在里面，所以非常漂亮，非常漂亮。我觉得你们可以尝试，要是喜欢种植的话。
And this is Torinia, which is quite easy to plant because they self-propagate. The seeds will drop down and they will grow on the soil on their own and all that kind of thing. So the flowers are very nice and yet it's easy to propagate and they can stand a fair bit of sun.
然后最后一个 Prof 所说的，就是说比较容易种，而且它很自然的，就是它种子会掉下去又重种，所以蛮容易种的一个花。
No, I also attempted to grow some edibles.
现在是 Prof 跟你们分享关于能吃的一些瓜或者菜。
Right. Before I shifted house, I was staying in a place where I don't have a garden. So I used my balcony and I actually grew watermelon in a container. And this is what it is like when it's ripe.
So how is it? Is it sweet?
Oh yes, it's sweet. It's just that it's a little bit small in size because nutrition is not enough.
So Prof 也是尝试种西瓜，然后刚才我就问甜吗？甜吗？他说其实甜啊甜啊，只是有点小啦。其实你们也是可以尝试的。
After I shifted house, I think I tried to plant this Japanese melon on the ground, and then I succeeded. It's also very small, but it is pretty sweet.
在右手边你看到是一个日本的瓜来的，所以也是成功了种植，而且很甜。以后我们就叫 Prof 分享一些瓜给我们吃吧。
Yeah. So when I was before I shifted, I can only plant vegetables in containers. But after shifting, I'm experimenting. I try to plant them on ground with the seeds from NEA, which I will show in the next slide.
Right. So, Prof, do you need a big space to plant all this as well, apart from the flowers that you plant just now?
Right. Now, this recently, I think NEA offered some free seeds to Singaporeans for us to try out. So I managed to get a few seeds. All right, and this is what I've done with them. On the left side, this is the lady's fingers, which is grown pretty healthy. In the middle is the cucumber. I erected a frame, a rotund frame for it to climb because they do well when they climb, and when they form fruit, the fruit will hang down vertically. And on the right side, this is the xiao bai cai, the Chinese cabbage, which I am trying to grow.
So 这些也是菜，但是这些种子是由我们政府给的，所以其实政府会给你们一些种子来种有小白菜啊，有瓜啦，还有那个叫什么？叫女士手指是吗？那个菜都是可以种植的。So Prof, do you need a big land to do all this?
Not very big, because my small garden, I just find some space to do it. I think for the cabbage, you have to space them a few inches apart because they need enough nutrition. So you cannot plant too many in this plot.
可能就是小白菜需要多一点点的位置其他方面其实也不需要太大的一个地方。
For the lady's fingers, it's recommended you put them about 12 to 40 inches apart so that they get enough nutrition.
我们到时我们再请示 Prof 来怎么种。怎么种？他说要离远一点点，不可以太靠近。
Yeah, I started with soil, and then I start experimenting, and then I'm using various kind of ingredients to cover them and all that. So yeah, this is actually coconut fibers, all right, and there's coconut chips, which I'm used to improve the soil and the land.
很多尝试，就是说 Prof 是需要慢慢的研究怎么把这些花种得比较好。他也用了一些椰子壳这些来种植。
Right now, whenever I share, people will say that, well, okay, you're lucky you got a garden, but I stay in HDB, I cannot do anything. But let me share with you, it's not true. I have a friend who stay in a one-room HDB flat in the Tiong Bahru area. And when I visited her, this is what she shared with me. She's able to have several plants on the balcony in front of a HDB flat. She even plant pandan leaves and all kinds of flowering plants. This is actually Mexican sunflower. It's like our sunflower, but it's smaller, but it's red in color. So she managed to do all this on the balcony in the front of a one-room flat. And behind in the kitchen window, she put, she can still put small plots of flowers. And this is butterfly plant, and this is actually Indian borage and all that. So it doesn't mean that you stay in a flat, you cannot do gardening. You still can.
就是 Prof 分享，就是说不一定要很大的花园，私人的屋子。我们政府主屋，就是他的朋友在中巴路的一房一厅的主屋，还是能种这些花的，就是靠近他的那个窗口啊，这些都可以种植的，一房一厅都可以。那我们也是可以的。
Right. Now, the other thing which I think our government has done very well is to bring nature indoors in the Garden by the Bay and let the public share the wonders of nature indoors, which is a fantastic job which they have done.
对，我们的政府其实做得很好，他把大自然带进来给我们分享，所以有时候我们也不需要一定要往外出去。
But let me also share with you that you can also bring nature indoors into your own house. And this is what I did when I made my own terrarium.
所以也可以把大自然的放进你的家里，好像这个小小的空间也是可以。
Now, these are the two terrariums which I made and I just share with you. On the right side, this is really a plastic. I mean, these are actually very cheap stuff. It's a plastic container which you can buy from Art Friend, all right? And then you put some soil at the bottom, and then you put some Fittonia and ficus and all that kind of thing. And this particular terrarium actually lasted for 1.5 years before the plant reaches its natural lifespan and die off. And you only need to water it once in 2 months.
所以只是用 plastic 啦，或者是收回的一些罐子啊，这些都可以用来做这些。而且呢，浇水只是 once or twice per month, isn't it?
Once or twice per month.
Just,
no, once in 1 month or 2 months.
就是说浇花其实很简单，就是说浇一次，只有浇一次1个月，或者一次2个月。
It's because I think it's a closed container. I think the water circulates within the system, so it is an ecosystem by itself.
所以说，因为可能是它那个水在那个罐子里面还在里面，所以就能保湿，所以那个花就可以卖的1个月或者2个月，所以不用时时刻刻浇花。
There's no need to put any fertilizer because everything is recirculated and there's minimal maintenance.
没必要放那个肥料，而且是蛮方便的一个做法，而且我曾经看过，也是太简单了。
Right. And on the left side, this is a glass container which you can buy from IKEA or Daiso, very cheap. And then you just put soil and then you put the plants there. This one I built in December last year, and now it's about 9 months old already. And I only watered about once in 2 months, and it's still going strong.
去年到现在了，只是浇水1次2个月1次而已，所以呢，你还是保持的那么好，就是蛮久的，其实蛮容易处理的。
And to make it look pretty and all that, I added some figurines and all that so that it looks really nice as a decoration indoors. But at the same time, you can see the plants growing. You can see the water seeping through the soil, and you're really bringing nature indoors on a very small scale. You don't need to go to Garden by the Bay to do it.
所以其实我们也是可以制造我们自己要的一些花，然后放你喜欢的东西放在里面，然后就根本就不需要一直往外走了。其实这是一个大自然在里面的，可以放在家里欣赏。
Right. So this is my last slide, and I welcome any questions from the audience.
好，有没有什么问题啊？现在已经最后一个 slide 了。
All right.
So anyone who wants to ask a question, please unmute yourself and go ahead and ask. Yeah.
Okay, Prof, maybe this is Chuing here. Maybe I start with one question.
Yes, please.
I also like planting, but somehow people always say that you got no green finger, your plant after 1 month always die. So I tried plant a few items, then after that the plant always died. And recently I have a neighbor, I think he also like plant a lot. He buy all the plant very nice, put outside the house. After 1 week you can see the plant die off. So do you have any trick for those people who don't have so-called green fingers?
Okay. Number one, I think the term green fingers is a misnomer. There's no such thing as green finger. It's about knowing the plant itself, knowing the principles of plant growth, and how to adapt the plant to the environment that you are having. So when you buy a plant from the nursery and then you put it in your house and you find it die after 1 week, this is the very common story you hear from everybody. Because when you buy from the nursery, you do not know what chemicals and what fertilizers they put and all that kind of thing. So the moment you bring it to your house, you're not continuing with the same environment. So the plant will not be able to continue its existence so well, and therefore it dies. It's a very common thing. So the lesson here is that know your plant well, know the soil nutrition well, and you take it from there. So you have to learn. It's not about having green fingers. It's about knowing how planting works, knowing what nutrition the plant needs, because different kind of plants needs different nutrition, and different kind of plants can withstand different kinds of environment. Some can stand sun very well, some cannot. Some needs a lot of water, some need less. Some needs more fertilizer, some doesn't need. So you have to know exactly what the plant needs. This is what I mean by nurture.
Okay. Maybe Prof, let me interpret in Chinese for the Chinese audience.
Sure.
OK. 我刚才是问教授，有关于这个词语叫亲手啊，
亲手指，
绿手指。
绿手指哦，亲手指，就是说有些人他们很会照顾那些花，他们什么花给他们就那个花或者那个树会活得很茂盛，但有些就是带回家之后1个礼拜后就那个花就死掉了。我在跟Prof 分享，就是说我也是喜欢种花，我种花呢，有些花1个礼拜后它就跟我死掉，尤其是过年的时候，我们都很喜欢买花。差不多1个礼拜后，那个花就死掉。所以 Prof 是说，其实没有这个亲手指还是什么绿手指。他说最重要是，当我们把那个花买回家的时候，我们要了解那个花或者那个树买回来的时候，那个花需要多少太阳，需要多少水分，需要多少那个阳光这些之类。所以他是说我们要对花有一些认识。OK。Then, Prof, in that case, I would like to ask, how do we get to know more about the plant? A lot of people just say, oh, need sunlight, but do we need to Google from the internet, or how do you know more about the plant? Maybe you can share with us.
Okay. The way I learn is that, okay, this is also one reason why I prefer to plant flowers from seeds rather than to buy it from the nursery. So when you plant from seeds, you will know under what situations the germination will take place. All right, and when it germinates, you know how the seedlings will grow. You know, they don't always grow. Some of the seedlings will die also. So as you nurture them until they become a full-blown flowering plant, then you understand the requirements much better. So I prefer to learn it the hard way. Now, when you adopt a plant from either from the nursery or from a friend and all that, then it's different because you don't have the benefit of the knowledge of its earlier phase of life. So you need to Google or ask your friends what are the planting conditions, what are the things to look out for, and how much water, nutrition, etc., to get the details from your friends and all that. Now, when you buy from nursery, usually they don't tell you. So this is where the problem is. So it boils down to actually to knowing the plant from whatever source that you can get.
Okay. Okay, let me interpret for the answer. 我刚才是问教授有关这个知识，有关那个树的那些，还有那些花草，我们要怎样去种植它，给它比较茂盛，那些知识从哪里来？所以教授是跟我们分享，他比较喜欢从种子开始，因为从种子它开始茂盛的时候，我们可以开始注意到它比较需要的是水分，还是阳光，还是肥料这些。他也跟我们分享，如果我们从花圃买回来的话，通常花圃他们不会告诉你们怎样去照顾那些花，所以他也是可以跟我们分享，我们可以从网上去查询有关照顾那些花或者那些树的那些知识。Yeah. Okay. Maybe we open to the floor. Any more question? 有问题要问教授吗？
How I have a question. Do you talk to your plant at the same time, and how you nurture them?
Okay. I don't physically talk to them as such. There's no physical language involved. But when I nurture them, I actually look after them as though I'm looking after my own children. I mean, you have to treat them with tender, loving care. You actually observe them closely. I water them twice a day, if necessary. Of course, I'm not talking about succulents. Succulents, you only water them about once a week or twice a week at the most. So depending on the nature of the plant, all right, I look at them twice a day. So you have to look at the way they grow in response to your watering, to your nutrition, to your fertilizer. And you also have to look out for insects, bugs and that are damaging the plants. You have to clean them up, and you have to, sometimes you have to shift the containers around depending on the direction of the sunlight, etc. And then for certain plants, when the leaves are dry, you have to trim them off. All right. Sometimes when the flowers have withered, you have to trim the flowers off so that the other flowers will come on. So you really have to take care about all these small things. The trimming part is something that a lot of people don't do, but it's important because when you trim off certain parts of the plant, you're actually redirecting the nutrition to other parts of the plant, so the plant will continue to grow in a healthy manner. So a lot of small things that you need to attend to when you nurture them. Right.
Thanks, Prof. So yeah, so Prof 是讲，其实我挺好奇的，就是说，当你种花的话，你需要跟他们讲话吗？来培养他们吗？然后 Prof 就是讲，他没有完全的跟他们讲话，但是他把他们当作是他的孩子来照顾，就是说他会剪一些，看有没有小小的要是有一些沙土啊，需要换的话就换，就好像我们真的孩子一样，需要换你的尿片啊，需要照顾他啦，这些都是一定要通知，而且他时时刻刻都是一天至少2次都会看一下照顾一下他们，所以用心良苦。
If I may add something, a lot of us don't bother about the soil nutrition so much, or rather we may not have the knowledge. All right, the soil is a very important part of the nurturing process. You cannot just leave the plant alone with the same soil and then expect it to grow forever. You have to revitalize the soil, not just with fertilizer. You may have to add compost. You may have to take away weeds. You may have to add mulch to cover it so as to prevent the soil from getting too dry too fast, etc., etc. And sometimes you may have to repot the plant in order to give it more soil and more nutrition. So these are things that you have to take into account, and not just put in a pot and then leave it there, expect it to be alive for the next 2 years. It doesn't work that way.
没错。做泥土呢，其实Prof 讲泥土呢是非常重要的。 就是说有一些时时刻刻都要有营养啊这些，或者是长大的时候你也要换一个地方给它成长，都是这些时时刻刻都要注意一下关于那个泥土来培养这些花花草草。
All right. Any other questions?
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
open to the floor.
Yeah, Prof. Mac, this is Jonathan. I
Yeah.
think one of the frustrating part of planting potted plant, especially in HDB, is these pests like
Yeah.
aphids and all those other bacteria attacks. And the second question is, one of the plus factor that I planted those what do you call that? Like certain type of plants where you have attract birds like sunbirds. They come along to suck the nectar, especially early in the morning. And also flower peckers, and even spotted turtle dove who came to my place to build nests. I have seen 8 seasons from eggs to the fledgling stage. And it's actually quite welcoming. And they build nests and see the whole process of all the birds. And I managed to capture some of the spectacular pictures.
Right.
I'm right. So coming back to the first question is actually, how do you take care of those plants, this type of disease like aphids and all these things? So if you use chemical, you actually damage the other surrounding plant.
Okay, your first question is about how to take care of the pests, right?
Yes.
Now, you must understand that certain plants are more likely to attract certain type of pests than others. This requires a fair bit of knowledge. You have to ask around, Google around. Like let's say you want to plant tomato. All right, if you plant tomato, you have to expect you'll be attracting a lot of these white insects. All right, and these white insects will come in the undersurface of the leaves and all that kind of thing. And after a while, it will suck your plant dry, and if you don't take care, you don't know what's happening. And because it's on the underside of the leaves, you can't see them, and you feel very frustrated. So you will have to be aware in the first place. But the earliest sign of this pest coming, you have to clean them. All right. Of course, a lot of people use chemicals, but then if you're planting edibles, then chemicals are not so nice because you don't know whether you harm your health or not. So what I generally do is I use organic pesticides. So neem oil is something which I use quite common. All right. Now, if you want something even more organic, more natural, garlic is something that you can use. So there are quite a number of things. You Google around and you know quite a number of things that you can actually get from the organic organic stuff, and then you can play around, and then you can use it to drive away pests and insects. Now, for the birds and all that kind of thing, you will need to protect your plants from all these birds and all that before they come. And when they come, you have to get, they can come, but you mustn't allow them to destroy the plants. So one of the things that I do when I nurture my plants at the early stage is to cover them. There are certain nettings that you can get from the nursery. All right, they come in different colors. So they got white, they got green, they got black, and all that kind of thing. The nettings will, number one, they will protect you from birds and insects. Two, they can protect you from sunlight and rain, especially when they are young, they are seedlings and all that kind of thing. So you play around with all this. So sometimes you have to build a little kind of a frame so that you can put a netting on top and cover them. So there are many options. So you just have to explore and see which one suits your particular garden situation best?
Well, actually, I don't mind the birds because it's good because it is very educational to me in the sense that it brings joy to me. Like for example, as I said, the powder puff, the sunbird will come and you can see them on flight, in flight. So you use your camera to take the picture.
The birds, yeah. I like to see the birds coming too, actually.
So you actually freeze the moment simply by in 1 second you take some sort of 30 shot, you see them freeze.
Birds are okay. Most times they don't do much harm. I think it's things like grasshoppers and all that kind of thing. They eat up the leaves and then you feel them
Some of these you come together with the fertilizer, like certain worms, certain pests.
Worms are not too bad. Most of the time, the worms are actually beneficial because
The insect, those type of look like
the mealies, the white insects, they are the ones that they will suck your plant dry. So my experience with mealy bugs and all that is when it's not enough sun, where the condition is too moist, too damp and all that, and then you have got ants coming in, and the next thing you've got mealies coming in. So you've got to be very careful. So you've got to examine your plants all the time.
I have friends using natural fertilizer, like they even use urine, but direct format. Like, for example, 1 part is to 50 parts. So you don't the science. And the plant growth seems to grow very well.
Yes. I use organic fertilizer. And organic fertilizer, most of them are actually chicken shit. So you may or may not like it because it stinks. All right, but I use them a lot. And they are good enough.
Interesting.
So when you look, okay, there's a lot of knowledge behind fertilizers. You have to start Googling and find out. You have to learn about the content of the NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium level, and all that kind of thing. Which one is good for what type of plant, whether it's for vegetable or flowering plant. Then you have to look at the NPK numbers to find out which one is more suitable. So there's a lot to learn actually in gardening.
But for organic insect pesticides, they pounce the lemongrass,
Lemongrass is okay.
Water, then they spray on it. Sometimes they use it as an insect repellent when they go to the bush. I don't know. It whether it works.
If you want to repel the insects on the leaves, okay, you spray them. But for those insects that comes in the soil, then you may have to dissolve them in the water and then pour it on the soil.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Right. Any other questions?
Any more questions from the floor? I think next time we plan a lecture on planting.
Can. More than happy to talk.
Yeah. So maybe is there a easy way out to share with the audience? Easy way out to planting, Well, sound like you have a lot of knowledge, but maybe some of us not so Google friendly, not able to search for answer, that kind of thing. So is there a quick tip or easy way to grow plants? Even okay, just give you an example. My mother, we call her, we consider so-called like ring finger. That someone throw an orchid plant that is dying off at the rubbish dump. She go and pick it up, and then within 2 weeks, the plant grow flower. So how do you rationalize, people who can bring the plant back to life, after they take care, but sometimes we do water the plant, we give sunlight, but the plant still don't want to grow. Is there an easy, quick step to share with the audience, Prof?
Okay, certain plants are more resilient than others. You know, like for instance, morning glory. All right, morning glory. You can just cut off any twig and just poke it on the soil. They will grow. All right. So actually, my morning glory, actually the whole plant dry off and died. You see, I was a little bit upset the day and all that kind of thing. But when I was throwing it away, I saw a little bit of the tip of one branch is still green. You see, so I decided to cut it off and I just poke it in the soil. And today it's still alive, growing, and they start growing again. So certain plants are very resilient, whereas certain plants are not. So again, you got to know the nature of the plant. Yeah.
May I suggest one thing, like, you know, nowadays the government encourage those who are retiring, who have a lot of free time, to take ownership in community garden.
Yeah.
Maybe on the startup scale, where maybe our Cancer Society allow, in partnership with these type of people, attached to them, just to like our orientation, to get to know and help out and learn something of it through this community garden in their respective near their housing estate. And you will pick up a few tips from these so-called farmer.
Yeah.
And you will learn a lot from there, a hands-on kind of learning, you know, and also interesting. It also boosts up their part of exercise. And that would be good.
Yeah. I think community farming.
Yeah. Hopefully, Cancer Society can, you know, partnership.
I visited one of this community farm thing. You know, the person is allotted the plot of land which is about 1 meter times 1.5 meters and all that kind of thing. Yes. And people go there, they plant their crops, and then after the morning planting, they will adjourn to the coffee shop nearby, yes, and then have a little chit chat and all that kind of thing, so that they will interact with one another, and then they have the farming, and then they also have the relationship building, yes, with other farmers and all that, which is very good. All right. I visited one before. Yeah,
I have visited the Bukit Panjang community garden. They plant all sorts of vegetables, and this vegetable is actually not for sale, but given away to those needy. And they take ownership. Each one is allocated some space, ownership, and then if they never take care, then the RC or somebody will take away. And along the fringe of all these gardens, which is fenced up, there's a lot of wildflowers, and some of them plant, you know, and that attract a lot of butterflies, insects, and all these things. It's quite interesting. So as I said earlier, maybe our Cancer Society can approach the respective people who man this, allow those people staying around there, because some of us might be retirees or retiree to be, which have a lot of free time, and it will be good, you know.
Yeah, sure.
Feedback.
I hear you. I think Carol is told me that she's working on something similar kind of project.
I can show you some photograph that I've taken. Is very nice. It's actually taken from community garden, and you need not have to go overseas, especially during the COVID-19 period.
Yeah. It's lucky our government is encouraging all these activities.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions?
有谁有问题要发问吗？你可以用华语来发问，我可以帮你们翻译成英语给教授。可以发问，用华语来发问呀。有没有人有什么问题要问教授吗？
Dr. Mac.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. In your small garden, do you have different soil for different flowers and different plants? Those fruit-bearing ones, as against those flowering ones?
No, actually, it's the same soil. So, okay, just tell you what happened. When I was, just before I shifted in, I was getting my contractor to build the planters and all that kind of thing. So the contractor, what they do is they put a layer of soil at the level ground, and that soil is usually yellow and clayey, which is really not suitable for gardening. So what happened is that I added in about 3 layers of what we call, I bought the so-called potting mix, the composted soil from the nursery. So I add another 3 inches of soil on top of it. Now that one is the one that is necessary for gardening, and you can use it for all plants. All right, whether it's vegetables or flowering plants and all that kind of thing, and then you can add your fertilizer later on when the plant comes up. So as long as you have got the composted soil is actually black. So as long as you've got the composted soil, that will be your basic soil requirement for your garden. You need that. You cannot use the ordinary clayey, yellowish soil by the roadside. That one doesn't help. Now, as far as soil condition is concerned, having soil itself is not enough, because you also need drainage, because if the plant has got too much water, too much rain, for instance, the water need to drain away. So you may have to add certain ingredients to improve the drainage, like a little bit of sand, or you may want to add coconut cocoa pit. You want to add some perlite and that kind of thing to improve the drainage. So these are little things that you pick up along the way. All right, yeah. Like for me, I use a lot of cocoa chips as a kind of a mulch to cover the top layer, so as to retain the moisture, so that you don't have to water so much and keep the moisture within the ground for longer periods of time, etc. These are little tricks you pick up along the way.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Any question from the floor? Prof, can I ask you, you say you water the plant 2 times a day. That means you see your plant, what kind of feeling emerge from you when you see your plant growing well, and when they start to have flower blossom? What kind of feeling will emerge from you? And I know you will feel happy, satisfaction, but do you feel that you get more peaceful, or what? Maybe you can share with us.
Definitely. I mean, it brings happiness to me. See, when you see the flowers coming up, I think number one, it is an indication of success of your efforts. 2, you know that your nurturing is bringing results. So you have nurtured a living plant to start blooming. So your efforts is paying off. 3, looking at the flower itself, I mean, sometimes I spend half an hour, 1 hour just staring at the plants and all that kind of thing, and you feel a sense of peace, and I use the word awe, all right, at how the plants can come with different colors, different patterns, different flowers, different sizes, and you begin to wonder how the complexity of nature is being brought to life by you as a gardener. And this is how you start connecting with nature. I mean, this is my personal feeling. So sometimes I spend lots of time just staring at the plants and And that itself is a connection.
It's a form of healing.
Yeah, and it's really part of healing, I agree. People don't understand it. This is why I say that you have to experience it to know what is it like. I mean, you can listen to people talking and all that kind of thing, and I can keep talking to you, but it's nothing like experiencing yourself. When you plant something, you see it growing, you see it blooming, and then you see the, progressing and all that kind of thing. It's really something that you feel very satisfied and happy about.
So may I just add that some of us, like Sister Ong pointed out, some of us really don't have green fingers. Also may not have the patience or the time to grow the plants. So the other aspect that you touched on, Dr. Mac, was taking walks in parks, in places where there's nature in abundance, trees. Yeah, so that's another alternative. You can set aside some time, 2 or 3 times a week, to go and take a walk in nature. I think that is for lazy people like me. Don't want to plant anything, just go there and make use of what is already there.
Certainly. This is what I love. But when you stay in the city, it may not be easy to get to the nearest park and all that. Before the COVID, I used to travel a lot. And one of the places that I used to go, I always travel to, is China. For the simple reason is that there's plenty of nature in China, and every trip I go to, I'll visit the greeneries, the forests, the parks, and all that kind of thing. And the kind of scenery you see in China, you can never finish seeing them. All right, in Singapore, we boast a lot about our garden by the bay. But when I last visited Kunming in the province of Yunnan in China, they have something similar. All right, and they also have an indoor garden. Lots of people visit there, lots of tourists and all that kind of thing, lots of greeneries and all that. To me, every trip I go to, I'll visit nature. That's for sure. All right. Yeah. Yes.
Can I, Prof, Mac,
Yes.
can I ask one question? Is that you see the basic ingredients of planting? You talk about sunlight, you talk about water, you talk about environment, and this and that.
Right.
Basically, when we water plant, be it twice a day or once a month or once every 2 months, the water that we use is actually chemical based, like chlorinated.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when we live in a kampong, we use it from the well, and the plant seems to grow very well.
Mm-hmm.
Is this coordinated water? I believe it's not so good for the plant, but how is there a way that this chlorine?
To get rid of the chlorine, you mean?
Yes. So that hopefully the plant will grow better.
Yes, there's a very simple way to get rid of the chlorine if you want to.
Yes.
You just put it in a pail of water, you leave it overnight. The next day you use it.
Okay.
Then the chlorine content will disappear.
Okay.
For Singapore water, as far as I know, I learned it from the horticultural experts and all that, the level of chlorine is not that bad. So you can still use the tap water as it is without too much problem. That's what I learned from them. In certain countries, it's better. Okay. Heavy chlorine, you better leave it overnight.
I see some of the shop houses, especially those low-lying area, shop houses, you see, they have a grass patch in front of them. Right. And they used to collect rainwater,
Yes.
Of course, cover up. And the plants seems to, things like sunflowers and and all those rows, and especially in the open like community garden, it grow very, very well.
Yes.
I think there was something to do with the water.
Yes,
so,
rainwater is more natural and they don't have chlorine. Yes. So definitely is superior. All right, definitely superior. Yeah, but from my experience, our tap water is not too much of a problem, you know. Especially from busy people like us, we don't have time to leave it overnight or that kind of thing. We just use it straight on the tap. Not a big deal. You can make do with it.
Right. So we have about another 3 minutes. So if there are any last questions, we can take. If not, we can wind up in time and everybody can go back to their families and their weekend activities. Any last questions?
Prof, maybe one of these days, can we visit your garden?
Okay. Can. No problem.
At the
After
moment,
COVID is over, not now.
Yeah, correct.
Not more than 5.
Maybe you can take a video so we can all enjoy.
I think that's probably easier because this garden is so small, not worth for you to all squeeze in and visit. I'll just take a video and then I give to Sister Ong and then you can share with all of you.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, you can give to Elio, then she can park at the OAS website. Actually,
Yeah,
Prof,
I can do that.
from the photo, we can see that you have a very nice garden. Hope one day you can share your honeydew, Japanese honeydew with us.
Yeah.
So actually, I think we wait for the COVID to be over. Then we organize a barbecue at Prof Mac's place. Then we all go lah. Then got makan, got plant.
It's still small garden lah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Shall we round up, or is there any more question? 有没有人要发问问题？还是刚才他们分享的，我需要翻译吗？有没有人要问问题？可以最后一个before 我们总结我们今天的会议。Actually, Prof, just now somebody typed in the chat group, actually talking to plant also can be therapeutic. You agree with that?
I didn't get the question. What is it?
Somebody typed in the chat group, talking to plant can be therapeutic also.
Yes, because basically you're dealing with nature, all right? Certainly.
Yes.
And,
yeah.
Sure, I agree with that.
Okay.
Okay, I think we can wind up. It's 3:29 now. I just want to say that for those of your friends who have missed the session, this recording will be up on the OAS website in a day or two. So if you want to recap or if you want them to direct them to it, you can let them know. And yeah, so we are done here. Prof Mac, any last words from you?
Thank you very much for inviting me. I mean, this is not a medical topic. It's not a topic that I normally talk about, but when I received the invitation from Sister Ong and Carol, I think I was more than happy to share because this is something which I love it from my heart. Yeah, thank you very much.
Nice.
Thank you so much
Prof.
for sharing.
Thank you for sharing. Hey, Elio, do you want to share with them about your Sunday walk group to the nature? Is it still on or hold on?
Okay, because of the COVID, right, and we cannot have big numbers, so I have put it on hold for a while. Once we are allowed to have like at least 10 people or what, then I may start again. So at the moment, I do not want to cause issues with, more than 5 people, and yeah, so it's not a very safe thing to do. So maybe not at the moment, yeah.
Okay, so now if you want to go for a walk, like what if you said, if you don't have a garden at home, like me, I don't have a garden at home, you can go to your nearby neighborhood park, have a 10 to 15 minutes walk. I think that is also very beneficial. That will emit your energy out, and get fresh air, as what Prof just now said. Once you go to the garden, smell the air, smell the flowers, smell the surrounding, and your natural immune system will increase. Right, Prof?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So with this, I think we shall close our meeting. Next month is October. We will have our ostomy seminar. Look out for our flyer. It should be out soon. It's also Zoom because due to our COVID situation at the moment, we cannot have any physical meeting. So we are waiting for the government to lift up the instruction. Then we can hold our meeting again. So currently, all our meeting will be Zoom. So October next month, we are having our ostomy seminar. Look out for our flyer soon. Yeah.
All right. All right. Thanks everyone for spending the Saturday afternoon with us. Have a great weekend and we'll catch up again. Bye.
Bye everyone.
Bye.
Bye bye. Thanks Paul for sharing.
Thank you.